After running through the Resident Evil IV 2023 Chainsaw demo 3 times on PC and Xbox Series consoles, and considering the success of the prior games, I think Capcom has another success story lined up here. There's no denying the RE engine has demonstrated incredible versatility since the release of 2017's first-person Resident Evil VII through to last year's third-person Resident Evil Village expansion. But that shared framework means fans of the resurgent IP will find Resident Evil 4 looks and plays exactly as you would expect. The Chainsaw demo is a mostly faithful recreation of the opening sequence from Resident Evil 4 2005, running from Leon's first encounter with a Ganado to the village battle against a horde of them and a chainsaw-wielding brute. Although we're only seeing a fraction of a 3-act story here, it seems Capcom is sticking to the Resident Evil 2 remake template, a mix of tweaked and faithful encounters, rather than the sweeping changes we saw in the Resident Evil 3 remake. The fate of one of the Spanish police officers escorting Leon has been tweaked, leading to an expanded opening sequence in the Hunter's Cottage that reveals the nature of the threat, before the fate of the second officer and the village battle plays out almost exactly like the original. Well, aside from an encounter with a dog you can no longer save. Most cutscenes seem to be slightly tweaked or faithfully reproduced, though new cutscenes are present and replace the Metal Gear-style radio conversations with Agent Hunnigan. As for how it plays, well, if you played the RE2 remake, you'll have a good idea of how Leon moves, fights, and interacts with the environment 90% of the time. The question this immediately left me with was whether this approach will work for many of the classic Resident Evil 4 set pieces. Now, some basics remain the same. RE4 2005 introduced several RPG-like elements. There was a Tetris-style attaché case inventory to manage. There were collectible valuables and currency that could be used to buy weapons, upgrades, and consumables from a mysterious merchant. There were herb recipes and a few rare consumables that could permanently improve Leon's maximum health. There were even optional minigames and simple side quests that rewarded unique gear and upgrades. Seeing as Resident Evil 4 2023 retains the inventory system and the combined mechanic, now renamed crafting, I'd imagine those other elements will return too. However, when it comes to the minute-to-minute gameplay, things feel significantly different. Leon moves slowly and cautiously, turns around slowly, and takes a second or two to shift between postures like sprinting or aiming. It feels more cinematic and grounds him in the environment, but the result is a game that feels far less responsive than the original. Avoiding enemies in cramped interiors, making space to line up a shot, or snapping off shots at close range, all feel much less viable. To offset this, your knife has a quick/parry ability, and Leon can crouch for some basic stealth takedowns in some spots, both of which incur a slight decrease in the durability of the knife. Now, when it comes to shooting, I'll admit up front I've never gelled with the new RE engine gunplay. Perhaps I'm just showing my age, but to me, a good survival horror game is about deciding what weapon to use and when to use it, not skill-based shooting. By default, Resident Evil 4 2023 has that pixel-precise aiming, coupled with tight hitboxes and erratic, sinuous enemy movement. Yes, the Ganados in the original release were not your traditional zombies, could wield weapons and bob and weave to avoid your aiming laser, but landing your shots felt far more reliable. I guess I'm just torn, as while I enjoy methodical, bullet-counting gameplay, the updated mechanics make for more desperate and scrappy firefights. Now, a game-changing mechanic introduced in RE4 was Leon's melee follow-up attacks. These return, of course, allowing you to stun a Ganado with a head or knee shot, and then deliver a powerful punch or kick. If you knock them flat, the remake allows you to follow up with a lethal knife strike. It's also a move you can pull off when grabbed or manage to sneak up behind enemies, though knife durability remains an issue. One downside, at least in this demo, is that the melee follow-up attacks no longer seem to work as well for crowd control, with sweeping kicks and stumbling or falling Ganados demonstrating little impact on the surrounding horde. Maybe it's a mechanic with its own upgrade path, but multiple attempts to use melee in the village battle simply left me surrounded and quickly cut down. At least the RE4 remake will likely include multiple difficulty settings, auto-aim assists for those who want or need them, and optional visual modes for those with color vision deficiency. Often the most praiseworthy element of any remake is the overall presentation, and the RE4 remake looks and sounds great. Before playing the demo, I even fired up the 2016 Xbox One re-release of RE4, and, well, I think they did an incredible job with the character models and atmosphere. Much of the game has not aged well, and scaling up the resolution only highlights the limitations. The environments and objects within it are crude and angular, 2D sprites are used for most foliage, surfaces have smeared out low-resolution textures, and the lighting often looks flat and washed out by modern standards. In contrast, the RE4 remake makes extensive use of photogrammetry to provide detailed high-resolution textures for more intricate and lifelike environments. The same applies to the excellent character models that feature more natural movement, well, as far as the twisted Ganados can, and better interaction with each other and the environment. The mood feels considerably darker and more gruesome, helped no end by the gory decals in the environment and on enemies, great lighting, and atmospheric effects, presumably the benefit of having 4 prior games worth of diverse assets to draw from. The limited voice work in the demo sounds close enough to the original cast, both in accent and delivery. Similarly, while RE4 always had a great soundscape, the remake expands upon it and includes immersive directional audio options. The only downside, at least for now, is console performance. The consoles get a ray tracing, resolution and performance mode yet again, but assuming this demo is indicative of the launch date, ditching visual features for a more stable 60 frames per second is the most logical approach for those without variable refresh rate displays. Once again, there seems to be no 30 frames per second cap for the enhanced visual modes, despite a serviceable 30 frames per second cap available on the PC version, which itself seems well optimized and offers a ton of granular visual settings to get the best performance for your hardware. As for my current impressions, well, although this is just a snippet of a much larger game, the RE4 Remake Chainsaw demo gives a good idea of what to expect. A lavishly recreated and sometimes tweaked version of RE4, with updated gameplay mechanics most similar to the RE2 remake. If you've never played the original RE4 but enjoyed the prior remakes, or if you enjoyed the original but want a modernized experience, this should be a safe bet. On the other hand, I doubt Resident Evil 4 2023 is going to render the original completely redundant, unlike, say, the excellent Resident Evil 2002 remake did for the first game. The updated but sluggish movement and combat mechanics don't always gel well with the action-heavy set-pieces that feature hordes of Ganados. Assuming this demo is representative of the whole, I'd still bet on there being a significant number of fans that end up preferring the less cinematic and more responsive gameplay of the original.